Well, good afternoon, everyone. This is Susan McGuire, and I'm Director of Professional Development at ACCE. Welcome to this afternoon's webinar, which is another in our From the Winner's Circle series, presenting ACCE award-winning programs. In today's webinar, we're delighted to have Kelly Hall, CCE, who is President and CEO of the Longview Chamber of Commerce, and she will be telling us about her chamber's Every Child Has Access, or ECHA program, an outgrowth of the Chamber's efforts to ensure a qualified, skilled workforce and prime the regional economy for sustainable economic growth. The ECHA included the launch of the East Texas Advanced Manufacturing Academy, which connects businesses and educational systems to supply capabilities for existing and expanding East Texas manufacturing industry base and provide local students with pathways to industrial jobs. Before we get started, I'll just go over a few housekeeping reminders. First, all attendees are in listen-only mode during the webinar to avoid background noise. Second, after Kelly's presentation, we'll have time for questions, and you can ask those questions by using the question box in the webinar panel. That box is on the lower right-hand corner of your screen, so you can just open it up and type in your question, and I'll read the question to Kelly. Go ahead and type in your questions as you think of them. We'll take all of them after her presentation. If we run out of time and don't get to your question, we will contact you. And Kelly will also have her contact information on the last slide, so you can contact her directly if you prefer. Third, the presentation is uploaded to the webinar panel, the presentation slides. So if you find the box titled Handouts and click to download it, you can do that. I will also post the presentation along with the webinar recording if you would prefer not to download it during the presentation. And finally, this webinar is being recorded. It will be up on the ACC website on the ACC University webinar page no later than Monday, February 17th. So with that, I will go ahead and introduce our presenter today. Kelly Hall joined the Chamber profession in 1986, and she's been in her current position as President and CEO of the Longview Chamber of Commerce since 2005. The Longview Chamber believes strategic partnerships are key to moving communities forward. Chamber members value the Longview Chamber having a seat at the table and making things happen. In July 2019, the Longview Chamber was recognized as Chamber of the Year by ACCE. And in August of 2016, Kelly received ACCE's Distinguished Chairman's Award. In January of 2015, the Chamber Board of Directors recognized her with the ultimate recognition by giving her the Chairman's Award at their annual meeting. Kelly was also one of 10 Chamber executives who was graduated from ACCE's new Healthy Communities Fellowship. She completed the Education Attainment Program with ACCE in 2016. In 2010, she received her Certified Chamber Executive certification and served on our CCE Commission. In 2007, she graduated from Leadership Texas. In 1993, she graduated from the Institute of Organization Management at SMU. And Kelly's a 1984 graduate of the University of Central Oklahoma with a degree in marketing. So we're very lucky to have Kelly here today to describe this terrific program. Kelly, thank you, and I will now pass the presentation over to you.
Thank you, Susan. I'm going to begin with saying that in Longview, for years, our community has addressed workforce education needs. They've identified gaps. There are fantastic initiatives that have been in place for a number of years. What was not in place was a collective impact nor an identified backbone of that impact. So we're going to begin by talking a little bit about who the Longview Chamber is, how we got in the education business, what our role is, and where do we see it going. So our chamber has a budget, depending on the year, of $1.2, $1.3 million. Our membership has hovered at about 1,100 for a number of years, with our dues revenue continuing to grow annually. We have a team of 7, and I have a couple of our team members on the webinar today, so I may lean on them for some help as well when we get into the Q&A time. The Chamber Foundation was formed in 2015. It has a separate board of directors, and their annual P&L has averaged around $1 million since it really took off in 2016. The foundation has an MOU with the Chamber for staff support, and that's myself and one other person. So that helps us get the work done through the foundation as well. We're a community of about 85,000 people, and our county is a population of about 135,000. So you can see we're not a very big community or a very big county, especially to Texas standards, but we're mighty even though we're small, and I'm very proud of our team. So a little bit about our backstory. I had the opportunity to participate in the EAD through ACCE in 2015-2016. This was a valuable training time to truly start to harness the meaning of what is a collective impact, what can it do for our community, and how can the Chamber serve as that backbone. During the time that I was in the fellowship, we had a mayor's election, and the mayor was not chamber friendly, is not chamber friendly. And that particular May, we lost about $800,000 in our city contracts. That was our CVB and our downtown development contracts. It was really disheartening because of the great work that was taking place, and this was retribution by one person, and it was the best thing that's ever happened to the Chamber. So something bad can be something good if we let it. And our board and our team took the challenge. Our board did a new 5-year strategic plan in the fall of 2015 called REACH, Redevelopment, Education, Advocacy, Collaboration, and Health. And there were there was a tie. And typically within an organization, as you know, when you're casting a vision and you're creating alignment, you don't have numerous priorities. But literally our board was split. Were we going to deal with the redevelopment issues of our community, or were we going to focus on the education and workforce issues of our community? And so we agreed that both of them had to be built in at the core of our strategic plan. We took the knowledge from the EAD and the work that we did, and we were able to formulate, I guess, a basic structure for our collective impact, which at that time we named Every Child Has Access. We understood that there was a scarcity of workforce. We are very engaged with the U.S. Chamber. I went to numerous talent pipeline meetings during the same time period, and the writing was on the wall. I mean, this last quarter was the first time our country faced a true workforce shortage, by meaning we didn't have enough people to fill the existing jobs by nearly 2%. So with our population declines, with our population shift, with the workforce reskilling challenges that we're having, I mean, the future is, we have an opportunity to change what the writing on the wall could be for our country, and that is we have to upskill our talent. We have to prepare the workforce so that we can fulfill the jobs within our own community, or within the Horizons report, the section on abundance and scarcity will become very real, especially in rural America. So we took on that challenge. In our city limits, we have 3 ISDs. Within a 15-mile radius around our city limits, you can add 4 more ISDs. So we are public school heavy. But within our city limits, we know from the data that we collected, 30% of the students have non-academic careers. 90% of the students at Longview ISD are economic disadvantaged. That's our largest public school system within our community. The second largest is now well over 60% and about to hit the 70% of being economic disadvantaged as well. So the image, which is pretty blurry, we can email this to you. We realized we had to learn how to tell this story in a way that brought forth solutions. So we developed strategy maps. And if you've been through the EAD, you know the importance of mapping everything in storytelling. We identified several areas, some which birthed after we began our work through the education piece, but we started with our resource guide. We realized the need to have a superintendent's forum. We wanted to adopt the worst performing elementary campus in our community to turn things around and develop a model that was replicable. We knew we needed to start bringing people together, and so we decided to start hosting a partners and education conference. From all the work and all the relationships that were built, we birthed the Manufacturing Academy in 2018. And I can tell you, none of this would have happened without the support of our external partners. So we're going to walk through this information. When we launched, Longview ISD said, we need a quick victory. I said, well, what can we do that would truly make a difference for our school systems? And they said, we need a resource guide. So that's what we did. We hired some interns. We developed the content. We published 10,000 pieces. We have this available online. We've created new publications every school year since. And thanks to Misty's relationship on our team with Buckner International, we received about a $13,000 grant so we could publish this magazine in Spanish, which was one of our goals from the very beginning, especially when you look at the demographic makeup in our elementary schools, which is predominantly Hispanic. The next thing we did was we developed the Superintendent's Forum. We had, like I mentioned, we had 3 superintendents in the city limits, and when we started these forums, they had never met. That just blows my mind because we come from an industry who believes in relationships and sharing, and we steal from each other on a daily basis, or we do healthy market research, I should say. But that wasn't the culture in our community. And so the superintendent's forums have truly proven to be transformative because our superintendents now meet on a monthly basis outside of us. And to me, I think that's a win from the very beginning. We also brought in targeted influencers, so the community and business influencers, to meet with our superintendents based on the topics that we brought to the table. What we realized there was lack of alignment. And just because someone wanted to attend a meeting didn't mean they were the right person that we needed in the room. So I'm really proud of how we've started moving these forums. We meet twice a year on key items. We target who that audience is going to be, and then we come in and have some really generative discussions. And those, like I said, have proven to be very beneficial. Next, we've started hosting partners in education conferences, and I'm going to move into that a little bit more in a second. And then we're going to spend the bulk of the time on our academy, since that was the significant piece which we showcased in our application for Chamber of the Year. Some of the relationships we forged include Junior Achievement, Junior League, and Boys and Girls Club. And while maybe 1 or 2 of these may seem pretty typical organizations to align with, I was surprised, and I'm continually surprised with our relationship with Junior League of Longview. Our Junior League is made up predominantly of working mothers, business women, who are highly skilled, highly educated, and want to make a difference. And when we started looking at the league's national priorities, their priorities are education and health, and that is in the middle of what we're doing. So we really value our relationship with Junior Achievement, Junior League, and the Boys and Girls Club. Superintendent's Forum, when we got started, we needed data desperately. We needed data to build the collective impact workaround. So we did a couple of research projects with East Texas Baptist University. The first one was on education and workforce. The second one, workforce qualification needs. And then Misty said, we need to look at hiring a consultant to help navigate the discussions, lead the groups deeper into the discussions, because they look at us as staff. They don't think of us as that professional. So we hired Dr. Bishop to work with us for nearly 2 years. Now we're going through Bridging the Talent Gap survey to add additional data to arm us with what we need to know so we can find solutions. So that's what the superintendent's forums have been focusing on the last few years. Our Partners in Education Conference, in year one, that began with identifying which companies in our community were doing internships. We partnered with the Tyler Chamber and hosted a workforce education industry forum where we brought in 3 key state agencies that were making the rounds around the state because they're looking at these same issues. So that was year one. We were just getting our legs. Year two, we partnered with Junior League. We wrapped our programming around their poverty conference, which was a smart decision. We debuted our resource guide, Every Child Has Access, at that conference and distributed the materials to the teachers and administrators on that day. Again, we hired Dr. Bishop, who worked with us on our conference. We conducted more surveys and we hosted focus groups. So the conference had a lot of meat to it. That led to year three, and I guess from year three, Peter was fantastic because he had spent over a year with us. He knew our market, he knew the challenges, and he had the testimonies to back up his story. It wasn't just intellectual material. But what complemented this conference was Misty put together a panel of influencers. She had Junior League, she had the high school principal, she had the superintendent, she had business, and then she developed a video that tells the story of workforce skills in our community, and that was debuted at this conference. Again, we partnered with Junior League and wrapped it around the poverty conference. So year three, we definitely made a turn with buy-in on the conference, opened the door for a lot of different types of partnerships. Year four, she truly focused on conversations around developing students with workforce readiness skills, and she hired Lonnie Moore with Franklin Covey, Leader in Me. Oh my goodness, was he amazing. And we had some schools immediately buy the materials and started integrating those strategies onto their campus. And again, we partnered with Junior League. As we prepare for year five, which is this summer, Misty has hired Ron Clark with the Ron Clark Academy. If you're not aware of this man, he's America's educator. The man is so inspiring. We've personally have paid for, I think, about 10 teachers to go through his academy now because his work truly is transforming lives. And again, we're partnering with Junior League and our business community. What does the future have in store? That's something that Misty and her team are working on, and I'm looking forward to seeing what her ideas are for year six. Now for the Career Ready Plus piece of our collective impact work, one of the things that two of our board members, they truly wanted to adopt the worst performing elementary campus in our community. And they challenged us and said, let's find a way to align resources, align agency, cast a vision, hold ourselves accountable, and let's change the campus culture and convert this into a desirable campus that performs extremely well. And so that is something that we took on, and wow. We are in our third year. We made a 3-year commitment, but we're not stopping the commitment after year three because we didn't know what we didn't know, and there has been a lot of challenges through this journey. Our goal is to lead a multifaceted team, and I can say that Misty has done an excellent job of coordinating with all the different agencies on this campus, aligning them to district goals. But ultimately, our goal is to improve post-secondary readiness, improve reading and math skills, and increase parent engagement. I guess this particular journey has probably been one of the more difficult things we've bitten off because of the culture that's at this campus. In that 3-year period, we've had 3 principals. It's been converted into a magnet school, a Montessori school, and we definitely brought attention to this campus. We definitely harnessed a lot of buy-in to lift this campus up, because if we can figure out how to transform this campus, then we can go to any campus and customize based on their needs and replicate the work. And that's why we call it Career Ready Plus. It's a certification that we're developing. We thought in 3 years, wow, we were going to see some things happen. And finally, in year 3, we're getting the stats, and they are improving, but not as fast as we wanted to. So solutions that we believe will help this is we developed a career showcase. The kids love this because these kids don't have access to transportation. A lot of their parents work 2 to 3 jobs if they work. So they're not getting the exposure to what's available to them in the community. We partner with different groups to bring in classroom mentors. And Misty gave me this picture. She said this is one of her favorite pictures, because we literally rent a limousine and we reward kids and take their mentors when they make the honor roll for the first time, so that they get to experience a little bit of what life can be like if you press in and work hard. She partners with the Master Gardeners group here in town, as well as our hospital, and they have built a community garden. They focus on nutrition. They tie it into STEM. We have some businesses now and community leaders who are wanting to put this program on steroids, and so we've been looking at hydroponic systems. We have a company that wants to put some livestock over at the school and the city. I've already confirmed what type of livestock we can actually have and what we can do. And this is something that the business community is interested in, is healthy eating, lifestyle choices, because this is tomorrow's workforce. Raising highly capable kids is our parent engagement piece. These are parents that go through a 13-week workshop with raising highly capable kids. It teaches them the 40 developmental skills. You see them at graduation. What we're finding is most of these parents who go through this program never completed high school. So completing this program is a big deal for them. This is a campus that doesn't have a PTA or a city council, whatever your community calls it at your local campuses. There is very little parent engagement. So we realize that's something that we need to help foster. Misty also coordinates and takes the kids based on the year out on a tour of different industries within the community. So that's what's going on from an elementary angle. So we've tied we've talked about the quick victory with the resource guide. We've talked about our Superintendent's Forum. We've talked about partners in education, linking education to business. And the elementary piece. So what was next is, through our foundation, the board their goal was to do something that hadn't been done that would fill a need within our community. And so they decided we needed a manufacturing academy. Through the research that we had collected through the Superintendent's Forum and other things, working with LECO, the Economic Development Corporation here in town, we put together a case study that demonstrated the desperate need for skills training to meet the current industry needs within our community. So our primary driver from a jobs lens is energy. So precision welding, several other types of instrumentation are highly needed skills within our community. And so that's what we targeted. We created the East Texas Advanced Manufacturing Academy. We leased a building for 4 years. We secured a grant through the Longview Economic Development Corporation that pays for the lease on that building, because they can't lease the building from the way Texas laws are written. We raised in private money over $1 million now, and then in grants and public dollars, nearly another million has been raised. We may have hit that with our most recent grant from our utility provider of $100,000. We partnered with all the ISDs. We contracted with Longview ISD, the largest ISD, to serve as what is in the state of Texas, it's called the fiscal agent, but in reality, it's the operator of the facility, because we serve as the fiscal agent and they operate the academy. So their partnership included hiring 2 instructors. We provided 100% of their equipment, their textbooks, the tools to get the kids started. And we started talking about that mid-2016, and we opened the door August of 2018 to 40 kids in our first semester. We continue to recruit kids for this program. This next year, I think we're on track to have over 100 students. And I met with one of our high schools this morning, and he said that they're going to be taking buses over in end of February, because they feel like they will be taking anywhere from 20 to 30 kids from their ISD. So I'm really excited to see what's going to happen in the fall of 2020. We did not hit our benchmarks on the first 2 years with student enrollment. We really anticipated to have every class at least 40, which would have had us at about 160 students. And that hasn't happened. Next fall will be the first year to actually top 100 students in the program. So who's teaching? So we have contracts with Kilgore College and Texas State Technical Center. We hire teachers from their campuses, and then the LISD actually pays for those instructors. We pay for the materials. If there's certifications, the Chamber Foundation pays for the certifications. So it truly is a partnership. Last summer, I'm thinking through, summer of 2019, we did our first internships with one of our local industries. And that from a recruiting angle, that has been a key to success for recruitment last fall, and it's already proven to be a key for this spring and again next fall, because the more students that we can get into the workplace utilizing the skills that they acquire and from the academy, and as they earn their certifications, industry certifications through the academy, then they are the best evangelists that we can ever have. So what we do to help tell the story is we bring the counselors in. I would say probably the goal is to bring them in every 3 months. I think we actually met with them twice last fall. And we have the students tell their story. One of them is still employed and is going through the industry's college reimbursement plan with a technical school. And he is so excited because he would have never had that opportunity if he had not gone to the academy. So as we acquire more and more of these testimonies, I think we're going to see our enrollment grow. So I'm going to stop here for just a second and give you a little history about the foundation. We formed the foundation in 2015. We really activated the foundation in 2016. When we started the foundation, we started with 3 members from our executive board because on a 501c3, the minimum requirement is 3 board members. Now we have 10 board members, and we'll probably take it down to 9 or 7 because the work that we're doing is so concentrated. This is not a feel-good board. This is a working board who raises money to do transformational projects. These board members have raised the money. These board members write the grants. These board members are CEOs. One is retired partner from Price Waterhouse. One is one of the owners of the Texas Rangers. These people have capacity and influence. So one of the challenges that I dealt with was I'm a chamber person, and I've been raised always you have to be a chamber member. You have to be a chamber member. And on the chamber side of the house, I 100% agree with that. On the foundation side of the house, my lens has changed because on our foundation, it's about 50-50 now. 50% are chamber members and 50% aren't, because they're retired executives that have moved home to Longview, and they bring such resources with them. They bring contacts with them. And I don't have to raise the money because they just pick up the phone and say, I need $100,000 and we need to do this. And they get the money. So when you're looking at your foundation and how you utilize it, I'm just going to say keep your lens open. Don't be so narrow and hardline that you don't allow the work. You don't allow things to stop because of a mindset. Make sure that you always keep that goal out in front of you. The foundation board is challenging because these people travel all over the world, coordinating them. Our goal is to meet the requirements to have a 501c3. We have at least 2 board meetings a year, but most of our meetings are small group, one-on-one, one-on-two, get things done types of meetings. So that's how our foundation operates, and that's why we were able to get the Manufacturing Academy open within less than 18 months, is because these entrepreneurs know how to innovate and they know how to get things done. So the methodology, I put this information in the PowerPoint. The industry partners, we met with them for, I don't know, a lot. And during this period before 2018 and that 18 months to develop curriculum that truly meets their needs, not just what's being taught at the junior college or at the technical school. We had high school counselors involved. We had the college counselors involved in these discussions. We brought community leaders to the table. I will tell you, to get our schools in alignment to do the academy, it took us bringing in our senator, our state rep, and our mayor to say, we're not putting up with your territory, your turf battles. We need this for our district and our community and for East Texas, and we expect you to make it happen. And so we did. We leveraged our elected officials to come in and hold those tough meetings with us to say, here's what we're going to do, now figure it out, because they hold the key to their funding in many, many ways. Transportation has and continues to be a challenge within our community because we're so spread out with the sprawl that's taken place over the years and with 3 public school districts. And I will tell you, I'm from Oklahoma, and I find this a little comical because I am a technical school product from high school, and I drove 20 minutes to Arvo Tech one way every day my entire senior year. So I find transportation kind of comical that we make it such an issue, but it's starting to work itself out, and where there's a will, there's a way. Communications. Communications is always key to success, and it's always key to why things don't happen. We utilize coffee conversations to have discussions with employers, with community leaders, to gain buy-in, to secure funding, to create the buzz around town. We use traditional marketing materials. We have the website. We have our funding materials. We have our brochures. We have targeted brochures to the kids. We have targeted brochures to the parents. We do posters. So we are definitely utilizing those materials through social media, but through boosting. It's pretty interesting. Instagram has been the most popular thing used for parents and for students in driving people to our website to get them to complete the interest form for enrollment. So that's been pretty interesting. In Texas, we have regions, education service centers. So we've been disseminating information through them and industry partners. We have hosted numerous targeted tours through the academy to show them the facility, the equipment that's been purchased, the hands-on activities, and that has been very successful. And as I mentioned, the interactive website where those interested could submit their forms, and then it generates a response back to the high school where the student is from, to me, and to the executive director at the academy. The last, as I said, all of this work literally began in 2016, with the exception of me going through the EAD, which started in 2015. This has been an enormous amount of work for our team and our volunteers and our board to undertake. And finding that rhythm, it's been tough. So I just tried to break down on the chamber side of the house. We built the framework. We serve as the backbone to the collective impact. We've done the research projects. We've started the Superintendent's Forum. We established our Partners in Education Conference. We identify partners. We've done our sponsorships. On the foundation side of the house, we launched with a $50,000 grant to help hire Misty. We secured the Raising Highly Capable Kids grant, and we had that for 18 months that we used at Ware Elementary with our elementary school component. The foundation discussed and formed the academy. We leveraged the foundation to get the grant to do the resource guide in Spanish this year. And then we just received it in December, our most recent grant of $100,000 towards the academy. And through the foundation alone, as I've said, we've raised right at $2 million since the inception of this project for just the academy work. In anything you create and you launch, there's a lot of pain points. So as a staff, we are very process-oriented. We're very detailed-oriented. We want measurements, and entrepreneurs want action. There's a rub there. Acting without secure funding, like for the academy, we launched, and I didn't know how the heck we were going to pay bills, and I've never been in that position. And I had a foundation board member step up, put a note in place, and lend us money at no interest. And that was significant. I've never had a board member do that before, and we've paid that note off. Developing meaningful measurements. We don't know what we don't know. And what we're learning is schools have measurements, but do they really measure it? I don't know. So it's been hard for us to develop some what I call meaningful measurement systems to know when we're moving the needle. Establishing priorities, it's really tough because somebody has to lead, somebody has to convene, somebody has to make sure the work gets done. And if we're stuck in the weeds, it's hard for us to keep moving the priorities forward. And the time that this requires, entrepreneurs don't care how much time it requires. They just want it done. So time has probably been our biggest challenge to meet the expectation of the volunteers. Now, Susan, I think I kept it right at where we have the time to open the floor for questions and discussion.
Okay, well, thank you, Kelly, so much. What an amazing series of projects, and thank you so much for presenting those. Folks, if you have any questions, please go ahead and type them into the question box, and we will read them. I will read them to Kelly. And Kelly, we have one question so far. It says, what type of information was included in the resource guide?
Excellent. What we started with, we used LA Unite because that collective impact just blew me away out of the Los Angeles Chamber. And so I used their resource guide as a launch pad. And one of the things that I liked is that they had a matrix that identified what would a student face during the life as a student. So, for example, does your child have learning disabilities? What type of learning disabilities? Has your child been raped? Has your child been abused? Is your child blind? Is your child deaf? And so we took their guide as an example, and then we went to United Way and used their 411 directory and looked at all the social services, the solutions that are already and resources that are already in place, and we literally created a matrix of all these potential challenges a student would face in their life as in the K through 12, and then we identified where they could go to get help, and we provided the matrix, and then behind the matrix was the directory with all of the contact information. And then we did uplifting things, content, and wrapped it like a donut from K to 12, just things that they needed to know for STAR or TEKS or wherever we were that year on priorities, and some basic education content. And of course, we had sponsorships that paid for the publication, because that was, that wasn't a cheap undertaking for us, to be really honest, especially that first year. To hire the interns, to get everything in line, and then pay the designer, and then get it published. So we fortunately had, I would say, underwriters versus sponsors that first year. Now we have sponsors to get that published. And then with Buckner coming alongside us this last year and publishing it in Spanish was huge for us.
Okay, Kelly, is that a hard copy or is that online, or is it both?
Both.
Okay.
Everything we do now is online. We have a hard copy, but we like this year we distribute 20,000 magazines at the first of the school year to all the campuses in our area, and then it's available through ECHA on our website. And it's links. It's an interactive document. I mean, we integrated links and everything, so administrators, teachers, parents, kids could use it and get to where they needed.
Okay, terrific. I don't have any more questions yet, but if you have questions, please type them in. I'll read them out. If you prefer to contact Kelly directly, she has her contact information there on the slide, and I'm sure she'd be happy to talk with you. While we're waiting for questions, just a reminder that this webinar is being recorded, and I will post it on our ACCE webinar page no later than Monday the 17th. You can find that page by going on our website, www.acce.org, clicking on Professional Development, hovering over ACC University Online, and clicking on Webinars. And you will see this webinar and all of the other webinars we have presented in the past several years in reverse chron order. Just click and learn and download the presentations as well. Okay, here's one question. For the entities that make of the collective impact, did everyone have a goal/commitment outlined?
No, and that was part of our frustration. So I'll go back to Ware Elementary. When we met with the school district, we met with the principal, she couldn't even tell us all the agencies that were on her campus. So our first one of the first priorities was, let's get a list of all the nonprofits, social work agency, anybody who walks on her campus to provide student support, get that list. And then we reached out to those individuals and we asked, what type of support are you providing? Do you have goals established, et cetera? What we found was most organizations, and I'm not throwing Boys and Girls Club under the bus, but they were one of them, well, we're there to do X, Y, Z. Well, do you know what the district goals are? And how are you aligned with those district goals? Well, they didn't even know that there were district goals specific to that campus or any other campus. And so what we found was a lot of great intentions of wanting to help students be successful, but no real pathway of how to make that happen. And again, understand what the goals are, understand what are we measuring, and how do we know when we're moving the needle. And so one of the things that I think has been extremely healthy for the campus is Misty will host what we call agency meetings at least 2, if not 3 times a year, where they sit down and share, how their agency is going to work in alignment to meet the district goals and focus on post-secondary readiness, reading, and math. Because just because someone has a good program or a good idea, they may not be the right person on the bus on that particular day. And so we need to help them find another place to be successful at and not become a distraction to the work that needs to take place on that campus. So I guess that was a real eye-opener for me, because I think chambers in general, we do a good job of understanding what our customers want, developing strategies to bridge gaps and help them live their dreams. But on a campus level, the lack of alignment just took us by surprise. And I would say that first year, that's where we spent most of our time, was creating that map. Who were the partners? How are they going to help meet the goals? Were they the right people on the bus? And then how do we shift them onto another campus if they weren't a good fit for us? And so Misty spent an enormous amount of time developing relationships. And then when she identified a gap where she knew of an agency that could help us be successful, she reached out to them and brought them to the table, like the Master Gardeners through the Ag Extension. So it just takes intentionality and focus. When it came to the partners in education piece, what we found was, again, there was a lot of work already taking place: internships, job shadowing, job fairs, career fairs, Texas Scholars recognition. All these things were happening, but none of collectively, these groups did not meet. There was no backbone structure. So we served as the group who convened the agencies to help them understand what's going on from a larger scale and build on each other's strengths. So, sometimes I think we think that's happening, but it's not happening. And it's a role the chamber can play to help open the door for conversations. Same thing with the Superintendent's Forum. The superintendents did not know each other on day one, and that was appalling. So again, we perhaps take for granted the power of the chamber of convening the influencers to get the right work done.
Well, that is a great final note to end on today, Kelly. Thank you so much for presenting very inspiring and such a tremendous amount of great work by you and your chamber. So thank you. Everyone, thank you for participating. Our next ACC webinar is next week, next Thursday, February 20th at 2 p.m. East Coast time. It will be another in our educational offerings on Chamber Foundation. So Kelly talked a little bit about foundations and its importance in this work that she's been doing, that her chamber's been doing. Next week's webinar will be presented by Casey Steinbacher, CCE, on aligning your foundation to your organization's strategic plan, which is a critical first step to any foundation's work plan. So join us next week, February 20th. You can register for the webinar on our ACCE events page, or you will get a notice of the webinar both in our ACCE Weekly on Monday and an individual notice as well. Thank you again, Kelly, for taking the time to present today's webinar, and thank you to everyone for your participation and interest. Have a great afternoon, and we will see you on the next ACC webinar. Bye-bye.